Nice.
But dude, you mentioned you're going to Bulgaria. I have to ask. How fucked up it is?
It was pretty fucked up when I was a kid. It was a pretty fucked up thing. So my parents, my dad, the moment 1989, the moment the Berlin Wall fell, and like the first block of countries were free, he and a friend of his, they just fucked through the border really quickly, and they were going to Italy by train, and they hopped off the train in Slovenia, crossed the border on foot, and I don't know, got to Venice, and then they were heading down to Rome, and they missed for one day to get a visa as a political refugee to Australia.
Australia?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah, so that was my dad, and a few months before leaving, my dad started dating my mom, but I don't know, they had a weird relationship.
Did he say, I have an Australian visa?
No, he didn't have the Australian visa. My mom kind of wants to break up with him because he didn't take her home. Back in the days, like in the 90s, if you don't take like to the door your girl, you're a pretty asshole.
A piece of shit.
And but a few months later, he called her and he said, "I'm in Rome. I would love you to join me." And they were 20 something. And my mom was planning to go. She asked her parents. They said no. So she started putting clothes in her friends' houses so that she can leave.
Jeez.
But my grandma noticed and said to her, "Bring back your fucking clothes." So my mom left just with a purse, just with a bag, like nothing. And
did she call like a month later?
No, she called the same day from a public phone. But back in the days, they didn't have any Skype, they didn't have any internet.
Of course.
And my grandparents didn't even know my father. They never had met him before. So he had to call them and tell them and like whatever. And then they stayed 2 years in Italy. And then my mom got pregnant. They married and they went back. So I'm made in Italy, literally, but produced in Bulgaria.
That's the deal.
That's the deal. And then we stayed from 92 to... My dad left again 98 for Italy because Bulgaria was like... In the 90s, it was wild. Because it was like, you know, it was a communist country before and then it was capitalist country. So imagine there is a place where there is no business at all, like nothing. Everything was state-owned. But you cannot continue having state-owned supermarkets or like stores or grocery stores. So people started their own businesses. And my dad started a shop that produced furniture. And the first 3 to 4 years, they were doing crazy money. He would earn like, I don't know, a yearly salary maybe in 1 day, 2 days, you know. They bought an apartment and stuff like that. But then 97, this few years of like happiness ended because there was hyperinflation in Bulgaria. So like everything was skyrocketing up and he didn't have a good relationship with his business partners. So also, I don't know what exactly was going on, but because of this hyperinflation, there was not enough food, not enough, like your money was worth shit from one day to the other. So he borrowed some money and he said like, fuck off, I'm going to go back to Italy. Work for a couple of years, come back. Because back in the days, one salary in Italy, like, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, was like more than a yearly salary in Bulgaria. They were making, I remember my mom, when I was a kid, she was making $150 a month. But in Bulgaria it was fine, you know, like stuff would cost nothing. So I was 6 or 5.5, 6 when my dad left. And that's probably the most sad moment of my life because I remember he took me to bed and then the day later he was gone and we didn't have Skype again. So he would call once a week from a public phone, 5 minutes. Yeah. And he would be like, hi, how are you? How are you? And that's it. And so his plan didn't go according to... the plan was like he stayed from 98 and... By 2000, he managed to, because he was illegal, he was undocumented in Italy. But Italy, it's this country where there are no rules. That's why they were going. That's why he didn't come to Germany, because in Germany you cannot work undocumented, but in Italy you could. And because there were so many undocumented people, our friend Silvio Berlusconi,
Silvio,
like, God bless him, and he might rest in peace. He did a law that you can legalize yourself. You can go and say like, bro, I'm here, I'm working. They offer me a contract, which was a big, a lot of Italians exploit the foreigners because you needed to like accept any conditions just to get a regular contract.
Okay, but the law was if you have a contract, you get a visa. If you have a working contract.
Yeah, if you have a job offer, you can go there and like self-declare yourself in the country and you get a permit to stay. So my dad did that. He told me like he had to go like in some police stations in Rome and stay over the night to stay in a line with like all the possible countries from the world. Because also back in the days, there were not so many internationals in Italy. I mean, there were maybe some from Morocco, maybe some from Albania, but like, yeah, and a lot of people undocumented. And everybody would know that they're undocumented, but there was no problem. Yeah, so he got the papers, and then after you get the papers, if you if you show that you're married, you get automatically the papers for your wife and your kids. So in 2000, in the summer, like a month before my birthday is in August, so we went there July. We finally managed. I remember also we went to the embassy to do some lines to get a visa because back in the days Bulgaria was no whatsoever part of the European Union. We had even visa to go visit, and then after a while they dropped the visa. You could go for 3 months, and so on and so on.
How old were you when you went to Italy?
I was 7, and I was about to turn 8.
Okay, you're not. I mean, you're a kid, but you've grown. You know your language. You know everything. Like when you go there, you might have a crash with the whole language and the style of the people and everything. Like, did you understand anything when you got there? Did you say
no? But
good day.
I mean, when you're a kid, like you're still very young, so like you're very like a white piece of paper that hasn't been written a lot on it, so you can learn a lot quickly. And I have this, this experience with, for example, when I was learning German and when I was learning Italian, that when I was a kid, I would ask a person, how do you say this? And they say like bottle. And I'm like, okay, this is bottle. Now I know it. Mm-hmm. And when I was learning German, they tell me like Flasche. And I'm like, okay. And then fuck, what was it? So it was super easy to learn. And I was super motivated because in my kid's brain, I was thinking, if my dad left us to go live in this country, it must be fucking awesome.
To be epic.
Or he hates us. I don't know.
Probably number 2.
Or he wanted to escape, but he didn't manage. And yeah, I remember we I flew in a plane for the first time. Like that was a big deal back in. I remember I told my mom before the flight that I want to pull down my.
Mother, I want to touch the birds.
No.
I don't know why you're now Transylvanian, according to my accent that I'm making up right now. But yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know that you couldn't pull down your window. And so palm trees for the first time. Like never seen palm trees before. Because the nature is very different. Like both countries have a very pretty nature, but it's very different. Also, my first shock thing was that we live next to Rome. Like my parents live next to Rome, on the seaside, and the sea is very salty. In Bulgaria, the Black Sea, that's almost like a lake. It's like you can swim with open eyes and it's fine. So these things were surprising to me. And so I ended up in Italy. I was super fired up. I started learning as much as I could. Because I'm a very talkative guy, so I wanted to talk to people. Started school, and then 2 months later, my granddad, the father of my mom, passed. Damn. So we had to go back. And I said, like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. Like, we waited 2 years to get here. Now I'm staying. And my dad had first started his job because my mom and dad, I didn't know that, but they were considering going back because when my dad was working and my mom was not working, they could just pay the bills and stuff, but they couldn't really save a lot of money by living all together in Italy. So they were considering going back. And then my dad got an offer to start being a truck driver, which was like compared to today's, he would have like 5K salary a month.
Well paid. I think even nowadays, truck drivers, I mean,
No,
it's
not
a
anymore.
sacrifice job, but it's not that badly paid.
Not anymore. Not anymore. But it was like a crazy thing. So he started that. And then again, like his salary was like 20 times what he would get in Bulgaria. And so he just had started. So it meant that he was driving a lot. I couldn't stay there. But we had a roommate. We had one guy that was living with my dad before. Because back in the days, everybody were sharing an apartment because they were immigrants. So I said, no, I'm not going fucking anywhere. I started school. I want to stay here because I don't know if we go back to Bulgaria when I'm going to come back to see my father.
Fucking illegals. Yeah.
No, we were legal. I was always
Oh, yes, they were legal. Okay.
Oh, we were legal.
On paper.
We were like people, when you go meet the Bulgarians at the Sunday coffee place, and then you say you have papers, they're like, bro.
I mean, bitches were throwing themselves to your dad, actually, because you were a kid.
There were people that would get deported.
Damn.
And also there were like people, you couldn't go back to your country until you didn't get your papers.